Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other resident wish to be heard at this time? State your name.
I'd like to know if I get copies of
State your name
the
and-
Patrick Schubert, 117 East Washington Street, Paulsboro. I'd like to know how I go about getting copies of the bill list for each month of this current calendar year.
Open request, part of public record.
So it requires
There is a
so you have to have a
copy
records
fee.
request to see the
Yes,
public
or you
information.
could either get copies made at cost, or you can review them. Someone can sit here and review them.
Would I be able to bring a computer in and scan necessary documents?
You can have copies made. There are standard charges that can be made for copies. Typically, the copies are made by the employees of the borough, for good reason, because they're in charge of the records. The rates are set by state statute. The OPA request is required. That way we have a record of when the request is made, exactly what is requested, and we can then respond to it appropriately, and we have a paper trail to show that that's all occurred.
Okay. And I did have one other question, and since Captain Grogan's here, he may be able to answer it better than council members. I was wondering how come East Greenwich Police were patrolling Paulsboro on the morning of September 12th at 3 a.m., shining spotlights on my house, in my windows. I've already
Confidence any ongoing investigation?
No, I understand from the lieutenant that that there was something, I don't know specifically at 3 o'clock in the morning who was doing what, but the lieutenant just advised that there was an incident in that area and that the East Greenwich Police was helping our officers to locate someone.
Well, I was told that our officers were busy with other things, and I went out and drove around for 40 minutes and did not see but one Paulsboro police officer, and he was at the corner of South Delaware and Broad.
I don't know. I can look up the information, but I don't have it available.
I'd appreciate that, thank you.
At that particular time, at 3 a.m.
I left my house at 3:20 and I drove around till approximately 5 after 4 in the morning. That's it.
Anybody else wish to be heard?
Yeah, Dr. Anthony Villard, 560 Mantua Avenue, Paulsboro. I'm here to complain about two summons that I received. One is dated, they're both dated September the 5th of '08. One was concerning September the 2nd of '08. I have 3 copies. I only made 3 copies for council members. But and this was after I had cleaned out my father's backyard and had put roofing shingles in boxes because that was my trash day. Trash men went by. I noticed they didn't take the boxes. I then called the Borough Hall, spoke to a secretary here. She said, well, I'll send out one of the borough men. I never saw anybody. Nobody ever returned my call. And I said, it's Keith Hogle there. She said, no, he's not in, but I'll tell him, what you're calling about, and I'll give him your message. I said, well, please have him call me back. So the next day goes by, Wednesday, which is now my recycling day. The boxes are still there. I don't get a call from anyone, Keith Hogle or anybody in the office. So after the recycling day goes by, the boxes are still there, and I'm wondering what to do with these things now. After Tuesday, I had already called the Borough Hall and asked the secretary, what do I do with these boxes of shingles?
Are those shingles in the box?
There were roofing shingles in the boxes that he had piled up for years in the back of his yard. And they were actually in the back of this gentleman, Tom Bish. That's where they were in the back of his yard. So that was Thursday. I finally get a call from the Borough Hall on Thursday saying it's my responsibility to get rid of these shingles. Fine. 24 hours later, I called someone, they were gone. Friday night, 6 o'clock, those boxes were gone and were properly disposed of. The next day, Saturday, I have these two summons in the mail. One talks about September the 2nd, and that is ticket number 6853. Then he talks about September the 5th, which is ticket number 6852. Now usually I think, and I don't know how these things go in order in their ticketing booklet, if they're in consecutive order or not, but I would have thought 5-2 came before 5-3. But he tells me he wrote one on the 2nd and one on the 5th. Well, what did he do? Skip a page and know he was going to write me another one on Friday anyway? So the following week, I go out to the Borough Hall and I run into Keith Hogle. And I asked him, I said, you know, I'm here 68 years as a resident. I don't think I give anybody a problem. Why didn't you call me, say, knock on my door, say, Doc, you know, it's your responsibility to get rid of these shingles. He said, I don't have time to do that. So why didn't you call me? I don't have time to do that either. Why didn't you have your secretary do it? I mean, I made the attempt to call you and find out what do I do with these things. I'm asking for your advice, and you're here writing me tickets. I mean, I don't know if this is the right way to treat citizens or not in this town. And then to make matters worse, following week on September the 8th, I get a letter from the building inspector. He sends me a $500 ticket for putting on a roof without getting a building permit. So I asked him, I said, what roof did I put on? Oh, he said over there on Manchester Avenue, on Tom Bishop's house. He rents the house. So the only thing I did at that house in the past 6 months was around April or May, we had a little bit of a windstorm. And there were about 4 or 5 shingles that were replaced. He said, oh, I'm not talking about that. I said, what are you talking about? He said, the roof you put on. I said, did you see me put it on? No. Did anybody else see me put it on?